Hey everyone, welcome to my first ever review video. Today we'll be taking a look at the Akko Lavender Purple and Vintage White switches. To be fully transparent, Akko did send me these switches for free, but they're giving me the liberty to review these however I want. If you're interested, the links to get these switches will be down in the description. Recently, Akko switches have become quite popularized because of their price to performance ratio. A lot of people have been referring to Akko switches as the budget king, and together let's see why. The switches come in packs of 45, the packaging itself is really high quality, and the switches inside are all neatly placed and protected. Alright, let's go over some stats, starting with the Lavender Purple switches. These switches are a tactile switch with a 53 gram operating force and a 4mm travel distance. This switch features a scale saw housing with a 3-pin connection. It uses 18mm springs, and lastly, it'll cost $13.99 for a pack of 45. Moving along to the Vintage White switches. These are a linear switch with a 35 gram operating force and a 4mm travel distance. Again, these have a scale saw housing with a 3-pin connection. One of the unique features for this switch is that it has a 22mm spring. Later on, I'll go over how this affects the switch in the review section. And last but not least, it has the same price at $13.99 for 45 switches. And now that you know all the stats, let's listen to how these switches sound. And stay tuned afterwards for my review and opinions on these switches. Overall, I was quite surprised by the quality of these switches. It seems that a lot of people were correct in saying that these are the budget king of switches, because they really do offer a lot considering the price. Of all the testing that I did, I found that the unlubed Lavender Purple switches were actually my favorite. They have that immediate tactile bump that everyone loves, and the typing experience was more poppy than rounded, if that makes sense. Lubing them, they do feel more rounded, which might be what people are looking for. When I lubed the Lavender Purples, I didn't lube the legs so that they remained fully tactile, but the extra smoothness really did change the feeling of the entire switch. Personally, I like that snappy and poppy feeling that the unlubed switches had, so my recommendation if you were to pick up the Lavender Purple switches would be to just lube the springs and not lube the stems at all. As for the Vintage White switches, out of the box, the Vintage White switches are pretty smooth with only some minor scratch, but nothing lube can't fix. They're a pretty lightweight switch, so it takes almost no force at all to bottom out. I feel like the weight of linear switches really affects your overall impression of them, so if you like light switches, these are definitely a good option for you. But if you're used to something like a cherry red, then it might feel too light for you. What I did want to say about them is that they accept lube really well. They feel exceptionally smooth when I put Krytox on them, and they were definitely more enjoyable to type on when they were lubed. So the most unique feature about the Vintage Whites is the spring size. In this case of using an extended spring, it almost feels like you're pushing down at this with this same amount of force the entire time. The linear experience is quite different because of that. You can tell by looking at the force graph that the end of the force graph is only slightly higher than the beginning. Usually in a normal spring there would be a higher difference between the beginning and end forces required to bottom out. So by having both a light weight and the extended spring, I would describe the typing feeling of the entire Switch as floaty. The Switch isn't going to push back at you a whole lot. It kind of feels like the Switch has no resistance at all. And when you lift your finger off of the key, it's kind of hard to tell when you actually reach the top. I would say the most feedback you get from the Switch is from the bottom out, so I would say the most important thing to keep in mind when you consider the Switch is your keyboard's plate material. I feel like if you use this on a brass plate, it would kind of just feel like you're tapping on the table, and if you went for a polycarbonate plate, you might feel the flex of the polycarbonate plate a little bit more. Overall, I'm really impressed with these Akko switches, and I definitely want to pick up some more from this company to see other differences. I would say these switches are actually much better than people give them credit for. I would consider these switches as a viable option for a keyboard rather than as a budget option. They offer me kind of a new typing experience that I haven't felt in other switches, with the poppiness of the lavender purple and the airiness of the extended springs from the vintage whites. So again, if you want to pick up some of these switches, you can use the link down in the description. Stay tuned for my upcoming videos. I have 2 more review videos coming up, and my main series Animec is finally coming back. So this is the first review video I made. Let me know how I did. I've been trying to improve the quality of my videos with each one, and if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Shout out to my Patreon, you guys are awesome, and I'll see everyone back in the next video.